nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me, so good to me. Yeah, wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me, so good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking cheap, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me, so good to me. Yeah, wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me, so good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my friend.
Shalom, Israel. We're about to get started on another lesson. Just let me get on stage for you guys. All right, what is going on, y'all? It is one day after the 7th month, the 7th new moon, memorial blowing trumpets. We got a little nice decor going on, but we still doing the same thing we've been doing. It is world history according to the Bible. It is Wednesday at whatever time it is on your time, and we are getting into it. So, from Jacob unto his 12 sons. So, just so y'all know, just be aware, this lesson is mainly going to be predicated upon Jacob, his history as we read in Genesis. Going forward from here. Continuing from the last two segments, dealing with the patriarchs in the book of Genesis. So, I believe we last left off with the birth of Jacob, actually. The birth of Jacob and Esau from Rebekah. So let me see real quick. Matter of fact, around here, chapter 27. So we're just going to continue on and pull off from there. So Genesis 27. And it came to pass, after some period of time, that when Isaac was old, the father of our Jacob here today, and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called Esau, his eldest son, and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here I am. And he said, Behold, now I am old, I know not the day of my death. Now therefore I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go out to the field and take me some venison. So again, this is around the time that Jacob and Esau were both 40 years old, because just previously in the last chapter, you see a lot of time had passed and, they were up there in age, older than some of us brothers, not all of us, but some of us brothers that you see teaching up here, up in their 40s. So now, so Isaac is telling Esau, because his intentions in his mind, firstborn, I'm about to bless this dude. But he's saying, go do what you do. You're a hunter. Go take your bow and arrow, your quiver and everything like that, and go hunt some game, out in the field, for me, and bring me back, something to eat. And so Esau's like, accept. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go do that. Verse 4, and make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. And when Rebekah heard when Isaac, spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. Verse 6, Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory meat that I may eat. So basically, without having to read it all, Rebekah is essentially preparing Jacob to be like, look, your father is about to bless Esau, but I was told, a couple chapters back, I was told by the Most High God, Yahweh, that it's you. You're the one that needs to receive this blessing. So this is what we're about to do. You're going to dress up as your brother because your father he's blind. He has real dim eyes. His eyes are just really bad. And you're gonna basically dress as your brother in touch and appearance. You're gonna wear some hairy garments so he thinks it's you. And then from there, you should secure that blessing that the Most High wants blessed on you. Because again, you got to realize that Esau came out first. They were twins, but Esau came out first, and Jacob came out holding his heel, which is prophetic, taking them by the heel and bringing them back down and everything like that. That was the prophecy. But again, these are twins. They were basically born at the same time anyway. So the Most High chose the twin that he wanted, regardless of the entry and entryway. So let me read the account. Verse 9. So now go to the flock and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure perhaps will feel me, and shall seem to him as a deceiver. And I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be the curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched, and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. So we got the whole disguise going on. He's got the Esau smelling clothes. He's got extra goat skins, the hair from it, on his body to kind of like disguise the fact that he's not smooth, but he's actually hairy, which again, Esau was described as. And, he's going to bring the venison or the food as he likes, that Rebekah knows too, back to his dad. So that's the process right now as Esau is out and about. So verse 18, and he came to his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said to his father, It's me, Esau, your firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And it's crazy because just this particular account alone, you see that our people weren't vegans per se, as far as like we don't partake in meat. You have a lot of Israelites that be like, oh, in the book of Genesis it says, every tree will be made for meat, and that's the meat we're supposed to eat, just fruits and vegetables. And it's like, yeah, no, that's a significant and important part of our diets that personally, and I'm pretty sure broadly abroad, we need to get back to more. We definitely need those fruits and veggies and those roots in our diet more, because we got all these dietary supplements, and all these chemical compounds of things that are literally already found in nature anyway. But the problem is, Esau has such a control, a monopoly over nature today. We don't even know nothing about, trees and botany other than what they provide at the store, which is GMO for the most part anyway. So all that being said, people like to argue that point, but here you have one of many points, a major forefather, a righteous forefather that liked to eat the meat of goat prepared a specific way. So there is not a debate or a cut, but it's right there in the Bible. Eating the animals, the clean animals is fine. And again, you have Leviticus 11, Deuteronomy, I believe 14 or 16, that explains the clean and unclean animals that we can partake and eat of anyway. So stop pushing that information. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But definitely find some time to have some beef or some goat or some sheep in your diet, because it's necessary protein. Yeah, so I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. That's Jacob. And Isaac said unto his son, how is it thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord Yahweh, thy God, brought it to me. Which he did, because he listened to his mama. So that was the instruction. And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and he said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. So he's kind of just like, what is going on? You sound like my other son, but you feel like my son I want. So, this man must be very blind. I can only imagine. I'm already kind of getting blind myself, trying to reverse that. But I can only imagine being that blind, as our father. But, hey, that's what made the blessing towards the rightful heir work. So it works. Verse 23, and he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, bring it near me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near, and kissed him. And he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of the field, which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore, God give thee of the dew of heaven, and of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. So again, this blessing that he's receiving is all in tandem with the original promise, the covenant promise that the Most High promised to Abraham, and that he reminded Isaac, and then eventually soon Jacob will be reminded as well too. And then again, it's that rulership. Literally, part of that blessing was, look, not only have the fat of the earth and the world, but other nations of people are going to bow down to thee. That's part of, in you, all the nations will be blessed. They're only going to be blessed through this particular reason. They got to bow down. They got to accept the status of second-class citizens, in righteousness. Because the law tells you in Exodus and Leviticus and such how to treat the strangers or these people. It says, don't vex them. Once upon a time, well, that's a future part of the lesson, but like at once upon a time, you were, their captors, and they took care of you as best as they could for a particular generation. But you yourself, although they bow down to you, you still got to treat them with decency, decency and order. Tax them, but treat them with some decency. So verse 30. And it came to pass, so sometime later in a mission, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat, and brought it to his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise, and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, who art thou? And he said, it's me, your son, your firstborn son, Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him, yea, and he shall be blessed. So like once that blessing left the word of that prophet or that man or that household, it was a done deal. It was sealed. You cannot get the same thing back. So verse 34. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he has taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord. So he's like, look, bro, I already blessed him, saying he's going to get the fat of the land, and all nations, which means you and your descendants, he's going to be lords over you. You're going to be beneath him, and he's going to be your Lord. He's going to be, giving the instructions and such like that. So it's already a done deal. I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren I have given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of the heaven from above. And by thy sword thou shalt live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break this yoke from off thy neck. So it's a big, major prophecy leading into today, and Esau's steady progression into power and dominion throughout the ages, throughout the many hundreds and even thousands of years that Esau has made himself to be where he's at in the world today, 2025, But he said, look, your blessing is going to be, dwelling place is going to be amongst the fat of the earth. So it's not necessary that it's going to be yours, because Jacob was given that, but you're just going to dwell around it. So basically, while you're dwelling around it, you're going to be doing the gathering and passing it along to your brother Jacob, and you'll have a little, if you choose to, you'll be a sustenance, but, Esau didn't choose that. So that's that's the prophecy. And eventually one day you're going to break the neck, the dominion and the yoke from your neck, which is, again, where we're at today. Verse 41, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. So let me stop right there real quick. So again, literally, when you read this statement and everything that transpired and happened to Esau, part of how you have a spiritual eye of knowing Esau and Edomites in general in mass is that deep down inside of these people, this nation of people, because the Most High, in Jeremiah 1:5, he says, look, I already knew thee before the womb. I already ordained you to be a prophet, and not in this case, but I already ordained you to be like such and such. This blessing and this statement that Esau made was literally the ordination of how his nation of people would be towards us. They have a deep-rooted jealousy because they feel cheated. They feel cheated that the blessing and the birthright from the father, Isaac, was stolen. That's how they claim it. But again, these are things already orchestrated from the beginning by the Most High. It was already said before they were even born, Jacob is going to be the one I choose. So he needs to get the things that he needs to get through the normal avenues, which is a father's blessing. I can't bless Esau just because he was born first. I got to bless the one that I'm choosing. And that's why the situation went down with the apparent deceit or subtlety. But really, it even not even began, but it was the next thing that led off was Esau literally made a deal, a conscious, willful deal of selling his birthright. And if you sell your birthright is literally what gets you this blessing. The blessing and the birthright come hand in hand. So you're already messed up by willingly, which is in your nature anyway, willingly giving up your own birthright for some pot of red beans, or of lentils that you were so hungry for. You already messed up like that. So it's crazy how in here Esau says, these 2 times my brother, tricked me. It's like, how did he trick you when he literally just told you that? Look, I know you're desperately hungry and you say you're gonna die, but sell me your birthright and I'll give you something to eat. And Esau could have easily figured something else out, but he did not, and he decided to sell his birthright, and that was that. And again, verse 41. So Esau, the nature of these people are the jealousy, and the jealousy leading to that deep hatred of us. So by any means, they want to put us in subjection, if not destroy us, by any means possible. Verse 42, and with these words of Esau, her eldest son, were told to Rebekah, and she called and sent Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, flee thou to Laban, my brother, to Haran. So this is the same Laban when Rebekah was just a little girl, back when Abraham was still in the mix, and Isaac was, a lot younger. And then when that good servant that Abraham had, went into Syria to find Abraham's brother-in-law and such like that, and their family to find a wife. So this is that same family that now Jacob is running to. So flee thou to Laban, my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him a few days, until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these, which are the daughters of the land, what good shall my life do me? So, Rebekah's like, not only am I going to send you to my family because your brother is, threatening to murder and kill you, but also I'd rather you not have any marriages with the women in this particular region that we're in. They're just, they're idolaters and stuff like that. They practice weird customs. Yeah, we do business and everything like that, but we don't really like their culture like that. Go back to our culture, where they at least acknowledge and somewhat worship the Most High. Go to that. So, chapter 28. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Pandan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, thy mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. And God Almighty bless thee, and make thee fruitful, and multiply thee, that thou mayest be a multitude of people. So in this instance right here too, you also see arranged. Excuse me, you guys. It's been a long day. Arranged marriages, So Isaac is now arranging this specific marriage for Jacob. No different than Abraham, who had arranged the marriage to go over to this family. So this is definitely a part of our culture that we did, because we, in today's culture, people want to link up and click up together just based off of, their one-on-one and individual, interactions with each other. But back in the day, it was more so a bigger family ordeal, So I'm sure there were instances where sons, kind of took things into their own hands and found wives, on their own. But the traditional way was to involve the larger parts of the families together. Be like, I'm from good stock, y'all from good stock. We should breed and procreate and keep, the seed of our nation running. So that's what comes along with arranged marriages. That foresight, and the bigger picture involving marriage. Verse 3, and God Almighty bless thee, and make thee fruitful, and multiply thee, that thou mayest be a multitude of people, and give thee the blessing of Abraham to thee, and to thy seed with thee, that thou mayest inherit the land wherein thou art a stranger, which God gave to Abraham. And Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went to Pandan Aram unto Laban, son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's and Esau's mother. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Pandan Aram to take a wife from thence, and that as he blessed him, he gave him a charge, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. And that Jacob obeyed his fathers and his mother, and was gone to Pandan Aram. Esau, seeing that the daughters of Canaan pleased not Isaac his father, then went Esau unto Ishmael, and took unto the wives which he had Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth, to be his wife. So Esau is now, still doing stuff not decently in order. He's still marrying within these Hamitic nations. Verse 10. And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went towards Haran. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took out of the stones of that place and put them for his pillows. Man, you see the stones for pillows. That's intense. And lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord Yahweh, God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Isaac. And the land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So the Most High is visiting Jacob. He's letting him know, look, I'm telling you the same thing that I told your other two predecessors. You're on the right path. Keep listening to me. Keep following me. And I'm going to bless you and your seed. You guys are going to be eternally good with me. Verse 16. And Jacob awaked out of his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, How dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God. And this is the gate of heaven. So, man, a gate of heaven. We can only speculate with that, especially being in the dream mode. And verse 18. And Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillows and set it for a pillar and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Beth El. But the name of that city was called Luz at the first. Verse 20. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, If God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on. Hold on. Let me get this Bible open. And raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be God's house. And all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the 10th unto thee. So talking about tithes. Come on, I'm in the right place. Okay, chapter 29, Jacob and Rachel. Then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. And for out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth. And thither were all the flocks gathered, and they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in its place. And Jacob said unto them, My brethren, whence ye be? And they said, Of Haran are we. And he said unto them, Know ye Laban the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. And he said unto them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And behold, Rachel his daughter cometh with the sheep. And he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time for the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go and feed them. And they said, we cannot until all the flocks be gathered together. So basically, Jacob is meeting his extended family. He's learning there's some shepherds, and Jacob's like, hey, I'm something of a shepherd myself. So he's asking all the right questions, trying to find the right people and such like that. And in the midst of that, excuse me, real quick. In the midst of that, he finds Rachel as well. Verse 11, Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. So Laban, and it came to pass that when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said unto him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him in the space of a month. So, Jacob was there initially, on that fleeing tip, trying to get away from Esau. And he stayed there for a whole month's time, And in that time, he falls in love with Laban's daughter, Rachel. So basically, in doing that, there's this thing that's called a dowry. When you want to get married back in the old school, and even a little bit today, if you pay attention enough, there's this thing called a dowry where you must pay a bride price. The bride price basically ensures that you're good, not only, just you and the wife that you want, but you are good. You're good with the family as well, too. So you're basically, it's an offering to the family. Like, hey, we're going to be good to each other. And, this is the dowry. So now Jacob's dowry that he needs to pay to Laban is, look, work for me 7 years. If you work for me 7 years, I will give you my daughter, Rachel. And Jacob's like, heck yeah, I'm going to do it. And Jacob's like, look, those 7 years, it felt like nothing because you got to only imagine. It's not like Rebecca was like, put away like in the dungeon for those 7 years. This is Jacob amongst the whole family. He's working. For Laban. He's more than likely courting and dating, Rebecca. They're getting to know each other over these 7 years, So a lot is going on except for sex, Everything but that is what happens. But it's like, when you look at everything in the grand scheme, the sex is, it is what it is. But like everything else that's an interpersonal relationship between a husband and a wife, that was that was more so valued. That was more so valued. The getting to know you, the courting, the dating and all that, that was more so valued. And that's why for Jacob, he's like, man, these 7 years, it didn't even feel like nothing because I'm just doing what I do best. And up in here talking to my wife to be, obviously it's not there, but we're betrothed. So we're betrothed for 7 years, getting to know each other, all for the dowry price. So that's, how it went down. Verse 20, and Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had for her. So again, that's telltale, bro. They were definitely, going out to dinner and everything like that. Everything but, the physical touching was going on in those 7 years. Verse 21, and Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled that I may go in unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. So this is like the final day, the last day. Hey, you're 7 years, 10 years up. It's time for you to get married. This is the marriage ceremony right here. Until we learned that Laban pulled a curveball, a big curveball on Jacob. So what he does is, I'm not going to give you Rachel. I'm going to give you her sister. I'm going to give you Leah, And you can only imagine there must have been, Noah himself in Genesis got so drunk enough and, falling asleep that one of his sons thought he got away with, the embarrassment of him. But you can only imagine, if Noah, a righteous man, got tipsy and faded, to the point of, where he needed to pass out, you can only imagine how tipsy and faded Jacob was after this feast, this wedding ceremony, to mistakenly go into his tent and lay with Leah, Rachel's sister. And I'm pretty sure they look similar. Maybe they were even twins. Who knows? Jacob was a twin. Who could hold it against him? Most people. Let me go off on my tangent real quick. Most brothers and sisters, regardless, if they're not twins, you could tell they're related, but it's like there's a difference. So maybe in a potential way, maybe Rachel and Leah, they were twins in a similar sense, just like Jacob, and as to why this happened, including the drunkenness. But this is what happened. Verse 23, and it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, this is talking about Laban, he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah, his maid, for an handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done to me? Did I not serve with thee for Rachel? For then hast thou beguiled me. Man. And Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. So clearly Rachel was, not Rachel. No, I'm tripping. Yeah, Rachel. Rachel was younger than Leah. So whether that's, born first, out of the womb twins or a couple years age difference. But either way, Jacob did not know what happened. Well, what was going down last night as far as who is this? He couldn't tell. So in their country, hey, I got to give the older before the younger. That's just custom here. 27, fulfill her week, and we will give thee also this also for the service which thou hast served with me yet 7 other years. So now Laban's like saying, okay, yeah, that's how we just do things over here. But now if you really want Rachel, just serve me another 7 years. So man, you got 14 years that Jacob is away from home, away from Isaac and Jacob, Isaac and Rebekah and Esau, just living, in Syria with this extended family for 14 years. Man, 14 years is a long, long, long time for a lot of stuff to go down, especially the 7 initially that you wanted, but now you got an additional 7. But guess what? Jacob, with his head on his shoulder, knowing this is what I want, he went for it. He served that an extra 7 years to finally get Rebekah. And Jacob did so, verse 28, and fulfilled her week, complete 7 years, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her servant, her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. So, yeah, that can be that loving one more than the other initially started as a problem. But as Leah, you should already as the sisters who women be talking, you should already know that his eye was not set on you. His eye was set on your sister. But now it so happens to be that we're together because of some trickery, foolery custom that these Syrians, that Laban is playing. So in that being said, a little bit of competition is began. And you read that in verse 30, and the birth of the 12 tribes of Israel, as we're going to see. So Leah is doing her thing, trying to show up her sister. Her sister's kind of like, oh, man, like, dang, I'm the beloved one, and I'm not getting hardly no kids and children. Rebekah, the beloved wife of Isaac, she literally had 2 kids. She had Ephraim. No, not Ephraim, excuse me. Hold on, let me tell you right now. She had Benjamin for sure. Benjamin and one other. But we're going to read this real quick. Chapter 30. And when Rachel saw that chapter 29, still verse 31. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So the Most High has a thing to where you got to treat these wives in a certain respect, I guess better, or not even better, because at the end of the day, Isaac loved who he loved. He loved Rachel. But the Most High had to put that into balance and check. So by doing that, he closed Rachel's womb, because I'm sure Jacob was giving all the time in the world to her, but not too much time to the other wife that he had responsibility for too. So he opened the wife that he didn't care about, Leah. He opened her wombs, and she gave birth to a whole bunch of kids, so that the attention can now be on her and the other kids. Let's read on. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called him Reuben. For she said, surely the Lord had looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me. So again, these kids were a reason to get the husband to love you. And, to pay attention and such. Verse 33, and she conceived again and bare a son, and said, because the Lord had heard when I was hated, and he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again. I'm going to just go a list of the names. Levi, because I'm born unto him, or joined unto him. Judah. Yep, Judah came from Leah. Chapter 30, Rachel. And when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said unto Jacob, give me children or else I die. So she's basically like, man, give me some kids before I do some real crash out stuff. Before I crash out, give me some kids. And Jacob's probably like, I mean, you the one that's barren. Like, how can I do anything? We can go back to the back, woo wham. But that don't mean you're gonna have kids. Like, bam bam, Verse 2. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in God's stead, who hath withheld thee from the fruit of the womb? And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. So, just like I said, Jacob is mad. Like, bro, I can't control the fact that you can't have kids. I'm sorry. I love you and all like that, but like, you need to stop bugging right now, because this is on you. And the Most High, really, like, I can't change nothing. So Rachel and her cunningness and clarity, she's like, you know what? Look, take my handmaid. I'm pretty sure her wombs are not closed up. Go into under her, wife her, or concubine her, and those kids will be, our kids, our surrogate kids, because she belonged to me anyway. So that was the alternative. And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees. She's going to substitute, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife, and Jacob went in unto her. Bilhah and Zilpah's children. And Bilhah conceived and bare Jacob a son. And Rachel said, God had judged me and also heard my voice. And he gave me a son, therefore he called his name Dan. So Bilhah gives birth to Dan, one of the 12 tribes. So Bilhah again is going to have another kid, Naphtali. And then now Leah is seeing that, oh no, my sister is starting to get kids because he's using the handmaid. So now Leah's like, I'm going to start using handmaids too. Even though you already gave birth to like 3 already. You gave birth to like 3 or 4 kids. Levi, Judah, Reuben, and I think it's Simeon. Yep. So she already gave birth to 4, but she's trying to keep that competition going because they got that sisterly rivalry going on. And when Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her to Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son. And Leah said, a troop cometh. She called his name Gad. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son. And Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed, and called his name Asher. So again, all the 12 tribes are being born and birthing, pains right now. Let me see. So, this is chapter 30 is a lot of, the tug and pull, the tug of war between the 2 sisters, Leah and Rachel, and their love over Jacob and trying to get kids, to earn his love. So that's what you got going on in there. So some more of the kids that were born with this, y'all can read it. We got Issachar being born, And then Zebulun, Zebulun is born. And then Joseph gets born. And the last kid to get born, which is later on in the chapters, is Benjamin. So now you got to imagine this. Okay, so 14 years are going by. You got kids. Jacob's got kids. Jacob's pretty much about, I'm feeling about ready to, depart. It's been a long, good season. I think I worked what I need to work for, for these wives and whatever, the necessary skills that I got. But it's about time for me to go. So we're going to begin reading that in chapter 30, verse 25. And it came to pass when Rachel had borne Joseph that Jacob said unto Laban, send me away that I may go unto my own place and to my country. Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served thee, and let me go. For thou knowest my service which I have done thee. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if thou have found any favor in thy eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. And he said, appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. For it was a little which thou hadst before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude. And the Lord hath blessed thee since my coming, and when I shall provide for my own house also. So Jacob is basically letting him know that, look, before I was here, you wasn't getting no type of play or nothing. The Most High is the one that's dealing with me. The Most High is creating all these blessings, through me. And it's crazy because that same thing still be happening in 2025, the world today. You have certain people that, that only radiate off of the shine, of another person or another individual. And all it takes for them is be like, get cold, a little bit dark, and say, hey, you this is because of me. This is why you're getting the increase. The Most High is with me. The Most High is not really dealing with you like that, but because I'm around, He's dealing with me. You're getting that secondhand, that secondary. How can you say that? Not secondhand smoke. Well, for the sake of the metaphor, you're getting that secondhand smoke. You're not even getting that first initial smoke with that, and that's what you're going on with. That's what's going on now with Laban and Jacob. So Jacob's like, let me go. It's time for me to go. And he said, verse 31, and he said, what shall I give thee? And Jacob said, thou shalt not give me anything. If thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep thy flock. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and the spotted cattle, and the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such as be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer me in time to come, when it shall come for my hire before thy face. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the he goats, and the brown among the sheep, that should be counted stolen with me. So basically, Jacob is like saying, look, I'm gonna show you how blessed how much you've been getting off my blessing. I'm gonna take all the cattle that you don't like, the uncomely ones that are ugly, they got some weird, fur designs or skin disease on them, and I'm gonna use those, and I'm gonna do my thing as a shepherd, and I'm still gonna be prospering and bless more over you. So, you give me those, and we're gonna see, what I'm gonna take away with me when I finally do leave, when you allow me to leave. Because you gotta understand, Laban at this point, even for making the 2 7-year deals, he knows already, this Jacob, man, the Most High is with him. I can't let him go. I need to keep him under my thumb because he's making me money. And again, at this point, 14 years later, Jacob's like, look, I realize this. I'm trying to go back to my nativity and my land inheritance. I did your dowry thing. One was a fluke, but I did it twice. Let me get out of here. But Laban's kind of like, it'd be cool if you stayed. Verse 34, and Laban said, behold, I would it might be according to thy word. And he removed that day the he goats that were ring straight and spotted, and all the goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them in the hand of his sons. And he set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Jacob, and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. So Jacob continues to prosper. And Jacob took him rods of green poplar, and of the hazel and the chestnut tree, and peeled white strakes in them, and made the white appear which was in the rods. And he set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters in the watering troughs when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. So Jacob, man, in his wisdom, he already knows how to basically birth control with these flocks. He knows some herbal remedy supplement to be like, this is going to help you guys give birth more. No different than for us in the hood, in the neighborhood, in these cities. If you're an old man and you go to the 7-Eleven or the gas station, you got with these things called the DI pills, the rhino pills. It's supposed to get you good for the bedroom for a real long time all night. If you old or just you trying to do that just because you want to do it. What do they call that? Aphrodisiac, basically. So there's animal aphrodisiacs, which proves that Jacob knew roots and plants and stuff like that. So knowing these things in botany, we got to get back to this part in our culture too. We got to start learning about, health and nutrition and stuff like that, and what different foods and stuff like that we can consume, and plants will actually aid in whatever you needed to aid in. So Jacob knew that. So he does that while taking the speckled flock. And doing that, Jacob increased. Verse 40, and Jacob did separate the lambs and set the faces of the flocks towards the ringstrake, and all the brown in the flock of Laban. And he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not unto Laban's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they may conceive among the rods. So basically, Jacob knows about breeding. He knows about breeding the strong and getting good genetics. So that's what he's doing right now. He's whatever is strong, that's what Jacob is putting his money on. So not only, man, is he knowledgeable of the roots, but he knows about how to put good seed together. And Esau knows how to do that too. That's why, crazy enough, slavery, Esau knew exactly what people to, marry and stuff like that to make for field Negroes and for, as they say, house Negroes. He knew how to make and breed, the right combinations of the two in our captivity. Knowledge that's definitely around. Verse 41. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, verse 42, and when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. And the man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maidservants, and menservants, and camels, and asses. Chapter 31. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and that which was our father's he hath gotten all this glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not towards him as before. So again, Laban is getting jealous. Laban's getting jealous that Jacob is increasing and is about to actually just straight up leave it all. And that's what we see in verse 17. Then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels. And that's because literally the Most High had to send an angel to tell Jacob, look, you got to get out of here. It's about that time. You've been here long enough. Your house is, pretty much settled. You become a great man. You become princely. You're a ruler, a good ruler. You got servants and you got money. It's time for you to leave, your in-laws and stuff like that and go start doing your own thing. So verse 17, Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, and the cattle of his greeting which he had gotten to Padan Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images or the teraphim which were her father's. And a little side note, basically what the images were, these are basically essentially idols. The scriptures call them teraphim, but the crazy thing about this, these were things used for like divination. So Rachel took these things just in case so that Laban wouldn't be able to find out, basically where they were, because again, these idols and the witchcraft and the divination and the spiritual stuff that we're not supposed to deal with because it's not of the Most High God Yahweh, that stuff worked for the other nations. It did give some intelligence. So there are some back doors. Again, I use that not in a positive way. There are back doors in the spirit world for knowledge, information, and power, essentially, that exists and is ultimately our competition. That's what we're competing with to this day. The teraphim and the images and the idols and the demons of the other nations. People that consciously and willfully use those things against us. So that's why Rachel took those things. Those household ancestor worshiping things. 21. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and set his face towards Mount Gilead. And it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob was 3 days in, that Jacob was fled. And he took his brethren with him and pursued after him 7 more days' journey. And they overtook him in the Mount Gilead. So, man, Laban was on some quick status tip. He got all his men, and with his 7 days, 3 days already passed, he came up to Jacob and was like, hey, I got you. What you doing? And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night and said unto him, take heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the Mount Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, what hast thou done? Thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captive, taking with the sword. Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly and steal away from me, and didn't tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth and with songs, with tabret and with harp? So basically like saying, yeah, I was trying to throw a whole party for you, but look, you got to understand Jacob's reasoning. For one, the Most High already told him, get out of here and leave. It's time for you to go. You've been here long enough. You've tarried way too long. It's time to go. So that, and then, as Jacob, you got to understand, bro, I've been with you for so long, and you've basically tricked me so many times, with all these, festivities and parties, and this is how we do this over here. I can't be with you anymore, man, because you be playing around too much. And I noticed as soon as my flocks did better than yours, you had a completely different look towards me. You were jealous. So I had to sneak my way out of here, man, because you be doing the sneak type tip to me too. You've been on that sneak type tip to me for like the last 14 years. I had to do the way I had to do. So that's, this is Jacob's reasoning with all that. Of 28. And hast thou not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters? This is still Laban talking. Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the God of your father spake unto me yesternight, saying, take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after my father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? So this is a crazy thing, man. The main thing that really ticked him off was like, okay, all these things, and on top of all that, you stole my gods, or those idols, basically, that Rachel took. So again, these things are understanding the spiritual reality that we live in. These things held some power, so much so that Jacob, even though receiving revelation from the God of gods, Yahweh, in a dream, he's still been like, look, I'm so into polytheism, I still need my gods back. Give me my teraphim back, because guess what? I'm communicating to the gods that I want through those things, and now they're gone. So I need those things back. 31. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, because I was afraid, for I said, peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Before our brethren discern what it is thine with me, and take it thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. So it's still talking about those idols, those images. So he's like, hey, bro, I didn't do nothing. I had nothing to do with that. I just took my family and my substance out of here. I had nothing to do with your guys. If you find out who did that, you can take his life. So again, Jacob saying that, not knowing that Rachel was the one that did it out of protection, for her own sake. So Rachel's got to figure out something now too, because dang, if I get caught, Jacob's word's gonna stand. I'm a die. you know. 33. And Laban went to Jacob's tent and to Leah's tent and to the two maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then he went out of Laban's tent and to Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. Excuse me. And he said unto his father, let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. So quick thinking on Rachel. She said, I'm on my period. I'm on my rag. I got this blood everywhere. You're not trying to look right here anyway. I'm not even trying to get up. So you can look everywhere else, but hey, they're not in here. Those images, they gone. Knowingly that it's underneath her lap. Verse 36. And Jacob was wroth, which means he got angry and chode with Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, what is my trespass? What's my sin that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff. What hast thou found of all thy household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and thy brethren, that he may judge betwixt us both. This 20 years, 20 years. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Jacob was doing those whole flocks for another 6 years. So that was a whole another 7-year cycle. 3 cycles of 7s. This 20 years I have been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of the flock have I not eaten. That which was torn of beasts I brought not unto thee. So again, Jacob is now reciting the law. And again, going back to it, the law that you find in the time of Moses in Exodus and Leviticus, that same law is still being applied and understood in the time of Genesis. The Levitical law about the clean and unbeast, it says, hey, don't eat no beast torn of itself, or roadkill. Give that to the heathen. But for you, my people holy, don't partake in that. It's just, you could do better. So he said, look, I never brought any torn beasts to you. Verse 40, thus I was in the day that the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in thine house, and I have served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for your cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. So the wages got changed. They never even stayed the same. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely thou hast sent me away now empty. God hath seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked thee yesternight. So he's saying, hey, bro, that's why you couldn't get, you're not blessed like me, man. I got the goods of the cattle. I got my peoples, my family right here. That's why you didn't know. The Most High is just, he's setting you over here and he's setting me over there. So you need to get the picture in the program. 43, verse 43. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? And now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant. So look, I know these are mine, but now let's make a covenant. So let's not be too far removed from each other. Don't do things on your solo dolo. We family right here. Let's make a covenant. And I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, gather stones, that they took stones and made a heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jagar Sethudua, but Jacob called it Galid. And Laban said, this heap is a witness between me and all this day. Therefore was the name of it called Galid. So, these witnesses come into play. And finally, Laban is, he's not hurt anymore by Jacob's actions. And he's like, okay, you made a covenant with me. I'm going to say on my side, this rock as a memorial, this is going to be a landmark. Everything beyond this rock is the land of Laban's and mine, and everything beyond this rock this way is yours, Jacob. So that was the covenant and was predicated upon. Chapter 32. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host." Man, so when the Bible talks about the host and the hosts of heaven, and how the angels always be talking from heaven, it's talking about the armies. The host is the armies. Like, this is the armies of heaven. This is a legion of angelic beings that are just up in the, if not the clouds, up in the stars and the planets. That's where they, I guess, go back and forth from. And we see it all the time, We got a little bit of plot of land up in Lancaster. 2 or 3 in the morning, when there's no light pollution, and they want to reveal themselves, all you see up in the sky is, and they're not shooting stars, it's chariots. The chariots of the Most High, or the UFOs going back and forth, exiting portals even, in and out of portals. And I'm talking about, when I say that, I mean out of nowhere, you will just see the Most High's angels just appear, as balls of lights, and just appear out of nowhere, just like you're not coming from any other direction, just like right there at that point, bam, you're here, and now you're moving. So, that's the same thing with these angels that are meeting up with Jacob. He saw, this is the God's, verse 2 in chapter 32. This is God's host, and he called the name of the place Manahim. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "Thus shall you speak unto my lord Esau. Thy servant Jacob saith thus, I sojourned with Laban, and I stayed there until now. And I have oxen, and asses, and flocks, and men servants, and women servants. And I have sent to tell my Lord that I might find grace in thy sight." So verse 6, and the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him." So now he's like setting the motion, like, okay, look, dang, Esau's coming with 400 people to meet up with me? Oh, what? Is this an army? Oh my God, are we about to fight for real? So that's what's in Jacob's head right now. And Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and the herds and the camels into 2 bands, and said, Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. So, yep, he's dividing up his own people. Like, look, you're not going to get all of us. I'm going to, divide us up in half. This half's going to go forward, and hopefully, if there's a fight, or if it's even peace, and, or an ambush, he's not getting all of us, it's only going to be a select few. Verse 9, and Jacob said, "O God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which sayest unto me, return unto my country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. Am I not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all thy truth, which thou hast showed unto thy servant? For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become 2 bands." I'm lessening right now. "Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children." So he's like, he's going to kill all my prodigy, man. He's going to kill all my work in my seed. "And thou saidest, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude." And so he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother. So he's like, let me butter my brother up again real quick. Let me give him a gift, show him that it's all peace. I don't want no problems. 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats and 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milch camels with their colts, 49 kinds. So a whole bunch of animals. He's by like, look, deliver these to my brother. And he delivered them unto the hand of his servants. Everyone drove by themselves and said to his servants, "Pass over by me," and put a space betwixt drove and drove. So now Esau is finding a show. So when Esau my brother meeteth thee and asketh thee, saying, "Whose art thou, and whither thou goest, and whose art before thee?" Then thou shalt say, "They be thy servant Jacob's. It's a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us." Verse 20. And say ye moreover, behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face. So I went to the present. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them and sent them over the brook and sent over that he had. So he's protecting his prosperity right there, his progeny. He's like, you go with the band that's going to escape. Me and these other half, we're going to go and face my brother. And if we die, at least y'all will live. So verse 24, and Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. So something happened overnight. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, what's your name? And he said, my name is Jacob. And he said, hey, from now on, no longer will you be called Jacob, but you're going to be called Israel. For as a prince, thou hast power with God and with men, and has prevailed. You just basically beat me in this wrestling competition all night. I had to dislocate your whole thigh in order just to get over you. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, what's your name? And he said, wherefore is it thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen the God face to face, and my life is preserved. And he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not the sinew which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh, and the sinew that shrank. So now, chapter 33, Jacob and Esau meet. Long story short, at this point, particular time, it's not an issue. Esau's like, hey man, I see that gift you gave me, man. How you doing, bro? And Jacob's like, oh, thank God, I'm doing good, man. I just been, living over here the last 20 years. We elders basically now. We've been doing and living life. How you been doing? And Esau at this point is like, I've been good. Verse 10. And Jacob said, nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face, as thou hast seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. I take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, Esau, and he took it. And he said, let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said unto him, my Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me. And if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. So basically, Esau comes in peace, and he goes back to his own land, and Jacob continues into the land of Canaan. So, so Jacob is now coming back to the land of his father, Isaac, and Abraham, and is in Canaan now. So, in that, his sons are growing up. And one particular instance with the son is Jacob also had a daughter named Dinah. And this particular Dinah, within the land of Canaan, she gets defiled by the Canaanites. She didn't have the same protection that Abraham and Isaac, played with, the Philistines, and the other Canaanites and the Egyptians and such like that within this region. Dinah didn't get lucky. She got raped. So 2 of Jacob's sons now, who are Simeon and Levi, they basically are like, we got to do something about this. So they go and feign or fake trying to make a covenant with the people of Canaan, telling them, look, if you get circumcised, you guys could be, you'll be cool with us. So they go and get themselves circumcised, and now Simeon and Levi take that as an opportunity and their weakness to slaughter all of them. And that's exactly what they did. And Jacob, in seeing that, is like, dang, man, what did you do that for? I was going to make a plan. I know, our your sister, my daughter, Dinah being raped, that's not cool. But the way you guys went about doing that, That's not how I would. That's not how I was gonna go about doing things. You guys jumped the gun. You guys were extra. And it's crazy because you see that same spirit in David's captain of the guard, Joab. Joab, when you read in First Kings, First Samuel and Second Samuel. When you read the Second Samuel, Joab, David's captain, he was always jumping the gun. He always taking away the peace that could have been made between, Abner and the Benjamites. So not to go into that history, but that's basically what Simeon and Levi did. So that same hot-headedness still definitely runs within our people to this day. And I can testify for controlling that anger my own self, having it under control, but meeting people who, like my own brother, actually, but meeting people out in the world that are Israelites, a lot of our people have major unrestrained anger issues, and it's a trait where we got to listen to our spiritual fathers, like Jacob, be like, look, no, you don't go about doing things like that. You need to be patient, and you need to let me draw out a plan in the Most High sight. But what you guys did was just rash. So that's basically what happens in avenging Dinah, in avenging Dinah and, Simeon and Levi. So you can read that throughout the chapters. Yeah, so that's, the life and times, of Jacob up to this point. As we read chapter 35 and even chapter 36, Benjamin is born in chapter 35. You guys can read that. Chapter 36 gives you the nitty and the gritty on the lineage of Esau and the peoples that they, took over in Mount Seir. Seir, the Horite, the hairy peoples, the cave dwellers. If you didn't know, Esau mixing with these particular people are why we call him, to this day, you're a cave dweller, because literally you went to go live up over there with cave dwellers, and you mingled your seed with these Horites or these troglodyte cave dwellers. So that's why Esau is called that as today. So you read that throughout these chapters, and then from here on, we kind of get into Joseph and the 12 tribes, but we're going to save that for another day, when we're actually specifically touching upon the 12 tribes, because it'll be a whole nother, hour and a half going into this. So hopefully you guys got some understanding and some read through with Jacob, Israel, as we know him now today, as we know ourselves today, unto the 12 sons, and the many escapades that we and they would get themselves into. So with that, you guys, I just want to say shalom. Appreciate you guys tuning in and watching another World History lesson with True Nation.